welcome to the X-Men Monday 2017 year-end review. I'm here with the whole X-Men Monday team for this roundtable discussion. With me is Alan. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Also with us is Rob. How you doing?
Doing great.
Also with us is Anthony. And how you doing, Anthony?
Woo!
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. But yeah, we are here to kind of just go down our list that we have. I need to actually pull up the listener poll as well as we're doing this. But yeah, we're going to go, pretty much each of us are going to give off our favorite writer, penciler, colorist, letterer. It goes on and on. But yeah, other than that, I think we can just kind of just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start with our favorite writer of the year. And I'm going to kick it off to Alan first. Pressure's on, buddy.
Pressure is on. This was hard for me because I kind of had there were two writers this year that did some work that really got me, and that was Christina Strain and Tom Taylor. But for the purposes of this show, I unfortunately have to give it to Christina Strain. I gotta give it to her. She took a book that I was excited about making a return. It was a little bumpy at first, but she made me care about the book now, and I just have loved so many issues of Gen X. So she's going to have to be my writer of the year for me.
So since she was able to win you over, that's what really kind of hooked you for that writer
yeah,
of the
because that's exactly what hooked me. Because with Tom Taylor, I've been getting good stories with all the Wolverine pretty much, since he took over, pretty much, from the start.
Right.
And this, if we could have picked the arc that's currently going on now, which is Orphans of X, I probably would have given it to him.
Yeah, I think we all would have. Easily.
Yeah, that's some good storytelling there.
That's what's up. All right, cool. Well, we'll kind of get into our whole discussion after we wrap up each article. But I'm going to hand it off to Anthony now.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Christina Strain also. I think it was just the most to use the characters that she did and make them so relatable and so intriguing on like a personal level and with the like struggles they faced. It also like culminated to like a point where all of the little pieces started coming together more, and there's like they're all kind of elevated after a few issues. So it just shows that she had like that like long-standing idea in mind and like the build of it all. And I mean, I was pretty intrigued from the beginning, but each issue pulled me in more and more. And I think that's a lot of skill to do, especially in like with all of these X titles that we had to pick from. Right. It actually felt the most like an X-Men book to me. And it was the one that didn't focus on all of the main X-Men. So it was kind of like the underdog from the beginning.
Yeah.
No doubt. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off then now with mine. I got to go Tom Taylor.
That is cheating.
Not necessarily. He has been able to... each arc has been a very short burst. Besides Orphans X, obviously, that's kind of his longest one I think we've seen in a while. But just the way, for me personally, I came on to All New Wolverine just like, I don't know if I really want to give All New Wolverine a chance. As soon as I hopped into it, he's always able to tell big stories. Each one each one didn't always land as neatly as I thought, but he always had big ideas that he would shoot for. And for the most part, it stuck. But some of the things he's been able to do with Gabby as a character to really establish her, establish the relationship between Laura and Gabby has been phenomenal. And he's been able to work with great artists as well. And I think he's really had, because All New Wolverine had been going on prior to Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why you can see that's maybe a little cheating, but it's still an X-Men title.
I said cheating because you saw he was one of my top two.
Stole
and the fact that because I want to do it for Orphans of X. I've been reading All New Wolverine X-23, and you're right, you did come on new, and it's pretty much what Christina did for me.
Right.
He made you a believer in what he was writing. and got you invested in it because I forget how much we love Gabby.
Yeah, it was
So
very close to being Ed Brisson.
fair.
It was very, very close to being Ed Brisson. That would be my honorable mention. He was able to come on. He's like still telling somewhat of original stories. He just really knocked it out of the park with what he did with it. But back to Tom Taylor though, he's a great writer. And yeah, that is my my favorite writer of the year. That's where my award goes to. How about you, Rob?
Well, I'm kind of surprised. I have 4 choices, and you guys have hit 3 of them. I'd give honorable mentions to all 3 of the people that you said. But my winner would be Charles Soule for Astonishing X-Men.
Okay.
I knew.
No.
And the reason
someone needs to pick that.
And the reason I say that is because one, it's a masterclass in good pacing.
Yeah.
The slowest of burns, because everybody picked up Astonishing X-Men #1 and said, "What the fuck is happening? Is Charles back? What's going on?" And then as soon as you picked up #2, it was like, "Oh shit, this is getting weird." And Shadow King, and is that really Charles? And there's a cast of 1,000. There's an exact mystery, the reveal. There's a cast of 1,000, and everybody has a moment to shine. And just the way in which it was all depicted and written was just extraordinary. And on top of that, the reason I gave it my #1 pick is because Resurrection did a lot for the X books, coming off of a few years of perhaps a little less attention for the X-Men in Marvel Comics. But when Resurrection came out, we got all these titles, and they're all really good. Most of them were really good. It was astonishing. X-Men.
Yeah, we're probably all like anticipating Astonishing. I feel personally,
and I feel like Astonishing X-Men didn't disappoint. It really lit a fire under Resurrection's ass, and when we got it, we're like, "Oh, this is the shit we've been waiting for."
This is what we wanted.
And Charles
Why didn't
Soule
you start
deserves
with
the
this?
attention for that. Absolutely. So Charles Soule gets my win.
Yeah, he was up there too. I don't know what. I think what the last issue of Astonishing I still have to see where it's going before I can really give it to him just yet. Personally. All right. Well, that is our writers of the year. Let's go ahead and move on to our favorite penciler / inker. I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off, and this may be of no surprise to you guys. It's going to be Victor Ibanez for Jean Grey on the earlier issues. All around, just a beautiful style. He stands out from the rest, and with some of the stuff we were still getting right now, he's still one of the top-notch X-Men artists on the books right now. And I don't understand why Marvel wasn't using him more on the entire run of the Jean Grey to really solidify that as a great series. But yeah, great pencil work and just natural pencils as well, which I'm very attracted to. But yeah, I gotta go Victor Ibanez because he is a beast, and I hope to see him back around after Jean Grey.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hand it off to Rob now.
Well, I mean, I have several options, but I can't not give it to Mike Deodato. I mean, come on. I mean, it's Old Man Logan is just, the work is so beautifully detailed. Everything from the backgrounds and the mountains and the snow in Days of Anger to the details of the floor to the details of
every detail for sure.
The hand attacking tower in Japan.
Oh, the tower.
The tower. Yeah.
Ninjas, and also because of his work on Astonishing X-Men #2, which started off with that great cover with all the skulls and everybody in the movie theater, and his work on the webbing of Shadow King's and Xavier's kind of like weird psychic cafe chess game. It's just
that was
perfect.
So cool.
He's just hitting everything out of the park. Mark Deodato is just probably the best artist of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really hard to top him. It is.
Both valid points.
For sure. All right. How about you, Alan?
Wow, this isn't even fair because now we're going to sound like we're fanboying here because I actually did pick Mike Deodato also.
Yeah,
Junior,
for the same reason. Every time we've done an Old Man Logan, we've always commented on how beautiful the book is in itself.
Right. And
there's so many panels you can pick out. My particular panel, especially the displays, like the art here, is the one issue where Old Man Logan is actually chained up. I think it was during the Hawks arc.
Oh yeah,
I think that was like the opening panel too, when you first open it up and he's
And he
chained to the
breaks
wall.
out.
So good.
Yes, that was amazing. And then of course the ninjas. We had ninjas. That was an amazing scene of the ninjas scaling the tower. That was beautiful. So, Mike Diodato. Boom.
Mike Diodato Jr. Boom. There we go. How about you, Anthony?
Well, I'm gonna have to make this a tie because I also went with Victor Ibanez.
Nice.
I think when he was on it, it was definitely the most visually captivating for me. There's also just re-flipping through it in researching this to like make sure I was right with the answer I wanted. There's just so much expression that he shows. Not even just in like the face all the time, like in each panel, but body language too. He just captures like the visual aspect to a T, and it portrayed the story that I feel like was trying to be told like the best. So 50-50 tie.
50-50 tie.
Did not expect that. Did not expect that at all. All right, cool. Well, let's we're moving nicely. We're gonna go with our favorite colors now.
I'm actually keeping track of this right now. I'm tallying who we're voting for. Just
thank you. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Rob for your favorite colors for 2017.
I'm so happy you picked me because, without a doubt, one particular colorist made me understand the great contribution the colorists often get and often don't get recognized for. And although it is part of an arc that is still ongoing, I'm going to pick out a specific issue, which is All New Wolverine number 26, and the colorist is Nolan Woodard. That was the issue I gave a perfect 10 to, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of that had to do with the coloring. It was about establishing safety in IKEA colors in Laura's mom's home, or Laura's aunt's home. It was the building red and the rage as she starts to lose her shit. There
were some
it's all
great
about
sequences in that issue.
And all of it had to do with this very subtle and powerful use of color, and it just knocked it out of the park for me. I can't argue. I thought Nolan Woodard does amazing work.
I agree with you there, buddy. I agree with you there. Alan, how about you, man?
Nope. Just pass me.
Can't sit out for this one.
All right. Well, I kind of have a two-way tie.
No ties.
I'll get my first one out. No ties?
No ties.
It has to be one?
You get an honorable mention.
Okay. Well, I'm going to switch this up then. My honorable mention is going to be Nolan Woodard. But my actual pick is actually going to be a team. And that's Richard Eisenove and Rain Barado. They did the colors in some of the Astonishing X-Men, especially number 2. They used a lot of dark, vivid colors that were made everything gritty. I think that's the most grittiest issue of the series, and the colors help with that. Makes it kind of grounded more in reality. So you kind of get drawn in a little bit more because you're kind of okay, this could happen, even though we're dealing with people that are in the astral plane and have superpowers. But this could possibly happen. And that I think that's a good use of colors. Different ways to use color.
For sure.
And I think throughout the issue that was a solid use, just to give it that realism.
Nice. Well, I'm going to go with mine, and I'm surprised no one's mentioned this yet. It might change with Anthony, but I got to go with Frank Martin for Old Man Logan.
Yes, very nice.
The colors with Mike Diodato doing the pencils, those two together, but Frank Martin's colors are really able to bring out the life and the tone to set the especially the Old Man Logan issues. Was it 2 issues ago when it opens up and him walking down the alleyway or street in Japan? Beautiful stuff. That's the same issue as the Hand crawling up the fucking tower.
Crawling up the tower.
Just stunning fucking work. Just beautiful. And it's really hard not to give it to him. He did some Astonishing X-Men. He was on 1 and 2, I believe, of Astonishing X-Men with with Mike Diodato Jr. as well. But yeah, it's Frank Martin hands down for me. How about you, Anthony?
This is the first time we all have someone different. I'm going with John David Ramos for Jean Grey.
Okay.
The artist changed constantly, and he was the colorist the whole way through, and he was kind of the thing that visually kept that tone carried through, from beginning to end. I mean, like, without him, I don't think it would have paired the same way with the writing throughout. I think it just to the story consistently throughout with all the changes happening really stood out to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just really enjoyed it. It was
kept him on to have some sort of same vibe to it throughout the whole thing. But when him and Victor Ibanez were together, that was just
it was gold.
Golden stuff.
Well, if I could, I'd like to give an honorable mention for color. And that is to Rachel Rosenberg for Iceman. And the reason I'm giving that is because
I'm sorry, what?
I'm giving Iceman an honorable mention for color.
The colors are pretty solid.
And the reason I say that is not only are they solid because they are, and Rachel Rosenberg is a great colorist we see her in lots of different series outside the X-Men. But if you pay really attention to the details in the panels, a lot of Iceman's power sets are actually not lined. It's a very broad, simple lines, and all of the depth and life to it are the colors of blue and white that Rachel has to put in to make it believable and realistic. Well, realistic for a comic book. And if it weren't for the coloring and that coloring being done so well, Iceman's powers would be totally unbelievable, aside from the writing. So honorable mention for color for Rachel Rosenberg.
And as you were saying that, I'm trying to pull it up now because I love Rochelle Rosenberg as a colorist, like her Spider-Woman stuff. It's just beautiful. But when it came to Iceman, it did not work for me. Some of the stuff because that's why I wanted to pull it up to see. Try to pull up a page of his power sets if I can.
You've commented on that a few times, Ryan. Just like the color on it, just what she's done with it. Throughout the episode.
I'm looking at issue 2 right now, I believe, with Juggernaut.
Juggernaut? That's the character.
Juggernaut. So that one,
Bob can get to you.
The colors aren't as bad, but I think it really just depends on which penciler she had working with her.
Yeah.
Well,
I had no idea Iceman was going to come up in this. Whoa.
That's all I got, though.
What a twist.
What a twist.
If we're doing some kind of shout out, honorable mention, whatnot, I would like to throw Sobrero, I think
Felipe Sobrio.
Yes. The texture in Generation X is amazing to me. Everything has a lot of texture to it. And he plays with light and shadow in the perfect way. It's not overdone in any way. It's very realistic the way that light and shadow work in it. And pairing that with the texture just really stands out to me every issue I read. I mean, I'm always taking note of that, I feel. But Ramos on Jean, I just super respect and appreciate him keeping that together throughout. So
yeah, that would be my honorable mention as well, I would say. Well, now we are moving on to, this should be pretty easy, I think, for all of us. That's going to be our favorite letterer. We can't go without saying who it is, because, they help us read the books, so we cannot leave them out. I'm going to hand it off to Anthony for his.
I'm going with, do I have to say the VC's part? Clayton?
I didn't plan on saying it. Unless it has X in it, like Extreme Clayton, or...
I feel like he, with it being the lettering, it's harder to take note of at times, but when I went back and looked through again, just to make sure I had right who was on what, he was on all of the ones I liked most, and part of what I did look at was in Astonishing, the lettering has a lot of detail to it, especially in the reverse background when it's black with the white text on it.
Yeah.
Just whatever font it is does a little bit to make it look a little bit more menacing, and it really fits the mysterious dark vibe of Astonishing in those moments.
You said Clayton Cowles?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
When you said that, I thought you knew who I was talking about.
Don't worry. There's a chance you might have heard that name again.
Probably somewhere else too.
Yeah. I'm curious who didn't pick him.
I'm curious who also might have picked him for almost the exact same reason.
I'll go ahead and go then. I picked Clayton Cowles as well, and it's kind of for what you were with what you were saying as well, Anthony. He at least of all the because I went back and did my research as well, and of all the letters that I saw in each book, he was the one at least that tried different styles for when it was needed. So that kind of that's what really stuck with me, and I see his name everywhere, even outside of X-Men comics. So he's a busy guy. So for him to come in, do the X-Men books from time to time, boom, perfect, works for me. How about you, Rob?
Well, I actually went with Joe Sabino for All New Wolverine number 22.
Okay.
This was the first issue of the Hive arc. So among other things, we had. Basically, and the reason I'm picking him is because of a very, very diverse set of lettering skills that were exhibited in a single issue. The different voices and the font usage for the Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool, Aliens, the way he lettered sound effects throughout the issue, I just thought it was really, we got to see a whole lot of variety from one letterer in one single issue that I thought was pretty good. But I have an honorable mention for Corey Pettit, who just for two reasons. One, the use of the way he emphasizes the correct words in a word balloon. Because I don't know how many times you actually read letterers and word balloons and you're like, why are you emphasizing that specific word?
You try to see in your head,
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense, but Corey Pettit always gets it right. And also for volume, because Corey worked on Cable, All New Wolverine, Old Man Logan, X-Men Gold, and that's as many as I could track. He possibly did more than that. So
yeah, he had his name on a lot of stuff for the X-Men titles.
So absolutely. So Joe Sabino, honorable mention for Corey Pettit.
Boom. How about you, Alan?
Well, it was funny because I'm actually going to say Corey Pettit, and
nice.
Specifically for All New Wolverine number 27. I don't know what it is about the way that he used the it's not even just the different fonts. It's everything you said, Rob. Like the fact that he's emphasizing specific words that makes the dialogue pop even more.
Right.
It makes it helps set the scene. And when you can have the letterer actually help set the scene along with your artists and your inkers and your colorists, like that's butter. And that's what he seems to be able to do. This was the issue where we had a lot of emotion being played with when it came to colors and when it came to even dialogue. So for him to be able to do that with the dialogue, that's bravo, hats off.
And that was the issue where Dakin gets back to the house with them. Okay,
Yep. And he shoots the mom, the aunt, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, letter game was on point for that one for sure.
Yeah, you thought about that like, wait a minute.
A perfect 10.
Yeah, perfect 10. Perfect 10. Very nice. Yeah, I think this next category and award might be my favorite one at least. That's gonna be favorite characterization, and I think we're all gonna be on the opposite sides of the fence on this one. And I'm gonna kick it off
for this one. Yeah,
I'm gonna kick it off to Rob.
Oh, nice. So. All right, so I have 4 choices here, but I kind of feel but I can kind of think that I know what you guys are going to pick. So I'm going to pick the one that I think you guys will not pick, and that is actually one character, but a tie between 2 different writers, which is Emma Frost, as written by Dennis Hopeless and Colin Bunn. And the reason I pick Emma is because where we left off at the end of last year was Emma is clearly a villain, and how dare she, and she's awful. But this entire year, she's been played very, very carefully as a good-hearted super bitch who is neither good nor evil. And the way that both Hopeless and Bunn are playing with the ambiguity of her righteousness, particularly in light of Secret Empire, I thought was super fascinating. And therefore, I also had to give minor props to Nick Spencer and Jim Zub, who had her in several issues of Secret Empire, too. And so Emma Frost was my best characterization for the year.
That did stand out to me a lot, yeah. But it's not my.
I didn't even think about that. It's good, very good pick.
Yeah, good pick. Solid.
How about you, Alan?
Oh boy. Okay. First of all, can I get my honorable mention first? 'Cause I do have an honorable mention.
Shoot it.
The honorable mention is going to be Gabby. Gabby's been
course.
Gabby's been awesome.
Hell yeah.
She's been a character that I've really grown to love, even though she's basically essentially a sidekick almost. And I think we don't ever comment on the fact that she's essentially a sidekick, but she's an awesome sidekick and she's an amazing character. But my characterization is actually going to go to Laura Kinney,
Very cool.
Wolverine. This year, she has really grown since taking over the Wolverine title. And it's interesting seeing because I'm somebody who's been with her since X-23, so it's amazing for me to actually see the progression and the growth, which is something we're not really seeing for a lot of characters. A lot of characters don't have development, and Laura has had a lot of development, and she's in a better spot than where she was when they first created her.
Very good pick.
Totally.
Very good pick. I'm going to save mine for last.
Of course.
I'm going to save mine for last. How about you, Anthony?
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna go with my honorable mention first. Also, I'm gonna go with Nature Girl as an honorable mention.
Yes.
Bravo! Yes. Yes.
She's definitely the character that made me laugh the most this year.
Absolutely.
And for someone who didn't talk until this series, it perfectly embodied the way she acted before, but like added to her without changing her. But it was a total change. So I mean, to like nail that so well was so much fun to read. But I'm gonna go. My actual official answer is Kitty Pryde.
Okay.
I can't lie. I think that she actually, I felt like she proved herself as a leader to me. She strategizes really well. She still has like the spark of what she did before, being really playful and a little more like silly at times, but she's still very strict and very like conscious of the mutant like dilemma and everything. And like all of those aspects together just show like a unique like evolution of like who she was and where she can go.
Where she's trying to go, maybe, yeah.
I believe her as a leader now. I wasn't sure before, and she's one of my favorite leaders now, you know?
That's a really good point. Like, yeah, Kitty has, even though, it's a subpar book right now, but she has still proven herself to be leader material.
But for me to choose her, even considering that, I hate that.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
her, because that says a lot to still feel that way off of a book like that.
And it is funny because everything you named is exactly how I've been viewing Kitty. I just never really sat and thought about it. Like, yeah, she has been a little silly like she used to be. She has been a little nonchalant, but at the same time, she's gotten serious with the X-Men, and she's like put a serious face on.
Slowly
I think
but
if
surely.
you take all of that like clutter around it out and just look at her as a character, I think it's kind of like spot on. Like it's pretty perfect.
And if you
as
include
who
her appearance in Gen
I
X
want.
recently too.
Yeah.
That's some of my favorite portrayal of her recently too. And it was only like a scene.
Oh yeah, and that's how it works, right?
Very, very good pick though. I'll shoot off with my honorable mention, and it's going to be Roxy, aka Bling. I thought they've done a great job with telling her little personal story, her personal journey. I've been able to connect with her as a character, and I hope to see where she goes from here. And hopefully her story's not over with. But, you guys probably won't see this one coming.
Old Man Logan and Weapon X.
I'm going to give it to
Storm.
Sabretooth.
Don't kill me, Rob. Don't kill me. I'm giving it to Shadow King.
Who?
I'm going to give Shadow King.
Ooh.
What?
I thought
Wait a minute.
Yes.
And
Go ahead.
here's why.
Let's see where you're going with this.
Charles Soule was able to have me invested into this chess game that he was playing with Charles Xavier. And I could say like Charles Xavier had a better characterization because he was manipulating Shadow King himself, but the way that Charles Soule was able to do the dialogue, it just it had that spark of magic, and I actually believed the sort of terror that Shadow King was putting out. And I had to go the villain route. I didn't expect to, but Shadow King really stood out in the end.
Okay,
Love it. Love it.
I like that. Yeah.
I considered Mojo for a minute, and I just couldn't in the end.
I couldn't do that.
Work.
Well,
And I've thought about Astonishing so much for this whole thing.
Same here.
well, if I could, I didn't get to give my honorable mention.
Now we're all gonna have honorable mention.
Now we have more honorable.
We
mentions,
have to.
Yeah.
Too much cool stuff.
Exactly. But my honorable mention is for Christina Strain and Morph. After a year of a rather unfortunate portrayal of a gay character in a different series, Morph, I thought, was an accurate and honest and vulnerable interpretation of unrequited
Natural
teenage
approach.
love and angst and both sorrow and sadness and sweetness and humor. And it was just everything I needed in a single character. And Christina Strain, one of the reasons why Gen X was so successful for us was because you've got a cast of a dozen people and everybody has a full rounded character and nobody gets short rifted. And I loved it,
And everyone has development going on too.
Everybody has it. And since this is about characterization, I mean, frankly, the sum of all the parts, we would probably all agree it's Christina Strain and Generation X, but specifically for me, it was Morph. And,
I have to chime in a second that that's been repeatedly the person I've been most invested. I've been invested in everybody, but he's been the one I've been most invested in Gen X. Like I was like, go ask him out, do this. I want to see
He's put
him
his foot out there the most
happy.
of all of them.
Yeah.
He's the one character that has made you continually root for him and feel bad when he doesn't live up to what you see, what you want him to be.
It was a very natural progression from the poor portrayal too. I feel it actually played off perfectly. Didn't feel like a change,
Right.
Yeah, because I remember the issue where he wanted to ask Nate out, and it was like, well, first of all, that kind of came out of nowhere for me, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, do it.
Right.
Do it, Ben.
And I felt bad when you turned the page and he's curled up like crying. I'm like, man, that's sad.
Right.
That is so sad.
Very nice. Very nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And it's going to be favorite cover this year. This one, I think we'll be on the opposite sides on this one as well.
We're gonna be close, but I think we're gonna be a little divided.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it off to Alan for this one.
Are we gonna do like an honorable mention? Is that a thing
about to say, I'm going to throw it off to Alan as I gather my honorable mention.
All right, I hate to do this, but my honorable mention is going to be Jean Grey. Was that I thought I wrote it down. Was that 9 with the
9? Yep.
That was Jean Grey number 9 is my honorable mention, and that's just because that was an interesting choice to truly show where your inspiration is coming from. That was probably one of the trippiest covers I've seen this year, but it was the most one of the most tactfully drawn covers. Because it's one thing to take inspiration from somewhere, but it's another thing to actually not blatantly, directly, absolutely, 100% unapologetically, rip off. But with that being said, that was just an honorable mention. That's not the actual cover of the year for me. Is going to have to go to Astonishing X-Men number 2. I love that skeleton cover.
So
the X-Men sitting in the theater. That is like still one of my favorite covers that I've seen all year out of any book. So that's my choice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Let's see how much we lined up.
Oh yeah. I'll throw it off to Rob.
Ooh.
Wow. So I'm not going to try to I'm not going to stray too far, but I'll start with my honorable mention, which is Weapon X number 12. Which is by Raza, which is the black cover with all the characters' faces in white, and they have the American flags painted on them.
Okay,
that's a pretty cool cover.
As you all know, I don't read Weapon X. It's the one I don't read. And that was actually an honorable mention for me, also.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about Weapon X. You've heard me on the podcast. You've seen the reviews, but I got to hand it to them. They have pretty solid covers. But my number one cover is by David Yardin, Jean Grey #9. It is hands down my favorite cover of all time. Not only is it my favorite cover for a comic book, and it was a brilliant use of inspiration, but it happens to pay tribute to my favorite painting of all time by Dali, which is hanging in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Thank you very much. And I absolutely love it. In fact, when it came out, I tweeted it to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and they went insane.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I love that.
100% love this cover. The next time I see David Yardin at a con, I'm going to ask him to sign it, and I'm going to frame it because it's just magic to me. I love it.
So this is something me and Ryan often go through when we get like certain covers or panels that are just amazing. Is it poster material?
This one, absolutely.
Yes. There you go.
I would get that
That's
inked
how
on.
you know it's a good cover.
I would get that inked on my
And more
back,
importantly-
honestly.
Really?
Wow,
I mean, I would
amazing.
100%. Not only would it be my poster, but I would burn every other poster I own and make sure that it got
Just to make room.
prime real estate. Just so that it was clear. I'm going to open up a comic book shop just so I can feature that poster somewhere in my store.
Okay, I volunteer to go next because I agree with Rob, and my honorable mention and my actual answer are the opposite of Alan. Astonishing X-Men 2 is my honorable mention, and Jean Grey #9 is like hands down my answer for favorite cover. It was the first one that I had like nailed down for all of these categories. It's the only thing I was like, that's my answer.
Man, I can't believe you guys didn't. Okay, all right.
Now watch, Ryan's about to pull something out that we're going to be like, why did we think of that?
Yeah, I think so. My honorable mention is going to be Generation X #2.
I do like that.
Couple reasons why. I love the collage of all the characters, but the fact that they were able to plan this so nicely, because you see on the cover Benji and Nathaniel kind of going bat for bat with each other, kind of setting up their relationship that we have loved to adore to this day now. Lovely. Planned perfectly. Terry Dotson, amazing cover artist. I wish he would do interiors. But yeah, that's my honorable mentions. And plus we see Storm doing something, and we always love lately when Storm is doing anything, something besides flying a jet.
Oh, no.
Just warming the jet. Come on, that's a lot of work.
I think they even see
skill and
Phantom
effort
X
to warm the
too.
jet up.
Every time you guys say that in an episode, there's like a little tear comes down my face.
But when we say it during the episode, there's a tear that comes down our face.
I die inside every time.
Yes.
It's hard not to.
I legitimately get happy when she does anything.
Literally.
Whether it's dialogue, like even some iffy dialogue in the last issue of Gold, she said something, so I was happy.
Well, yeah, we'll save that for Sunday. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna save that for that's another show.
My pick, and it goes to David Yardin. So I'm in the same boat as you guys. It's not Jean Grey #9, but it is #8. Kicking off the Psych Wars. It's the cover where you see Emma Frost in her glass form, and Jean Grey with the candle lit, and she's kind of stepping on Emma Frost as like everything around her is cracking. David Yardin just kills it on the fucking covers.
So good. So good.
And you see just like the way he was able to portray like the spookiness of Jean Grey like wandering, because we know she's wandering her mind. It just had me so invested and hyped to get into this arc. And I wish I can give Jean Grey... spoiler, I don't give Jean Grey my story arc of the year, because it's technically not finished. So I couldn't give myself to go that route.
I'm not sure. I think we should have done that category a little differently. But we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there. But David Yardin, Psych Wars #2, Jean Grey issue 8, just beautiful work. And I hope he sticks around as well for some of these X-Men covers. And maybe a special one-off issue. Who knows? Give us an annual with all him.
Really?
All him. I'll pay the $6. I will.
Yep.
I really will. But cool, that wraps up our covers then. Now we get into some of the juicy stuff.
The juicy.
Yes. This is hopefully my phone's about to die. But it's favorite series, And I do want to try to grab the listener poll real quick. I put it up like late last night to try and get some feedback before we recorded today. And right now, as of this recording, it goes to Astonishing X-Men for the listener poll.
Okay.
Just under that is All New Wolverine with one vote less.
Interesting.
Wow.
Generation
Very
X
cool.
got 4 votes. Jean Grey got 2.
Well,
that's why it's getting canceled. Iceman number 1. That's why that's getting
hold on, wait. I have to stop you. Jean Grey is not getting canceled.
Not
It's
getting
reached its
canceled.
Natural conclusion.
That's why it was okay. I'll say this. That's why it was abruptly interrupted.
Whoa! I like what I said better. It hurts less.
Yeah, right. Cable got 0 and Weapon X got 0 votes as of now, as of this recording. But Blue and Goldie's got 1 vote. No love there. But yeah, I'm gonna kick off with my favorite series. This was hard. I actually have to. Damn, I didn't even put my choice down. I only put the listener poll down. Shit.
You are the voice of the listeners.
There we go. Behind the scenes. Let me look at this. This is gonna be a hard one. Then.
I just want to know what happened to this episode. Like, what just happened?
Who knows?
Brian said we were drinking cocktails.
My fault. It is my fault. As I sip some more because I do need to get a drink. Let's go with.
Wow.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to wrap up favorite series because what I wanted to
It really is.
I don't feel
It's still going.
officially done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you want to choose.
It's like
choose
for
what I
the
wanna
year.
choose.
What series did you enjoy reading the most this year? Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I.
In that case, I'm going to give it to honorable mention. I'm going to give it Jean Grey. And then my pick is going to be Astonishing X-Men as for my main pick because that was the book that it's really hard because with Jean Grey and Astonishing X-Men, I was always going back to rereading that like 2 or 3 times before we would talk about it. Even if I wasn't doing the podcast, I'd still be reading it at least 4 or 5 times in the span of like 2 days. But Astonishing just had the tale, the astonishing tale that I wanted within a Team X-Men book. So I gotta give it to Astonishing X-Men by Charles Soule. Booyah!
He dropped the mic and left the show.
There we go. I'm out. Rob, how about you, man?
Well, since I picked 4 and you named 2, I will instead name the other 2. And, I think we can all agree that there's a big chasm between what's the best and what's the worst this year.
Yes.
And so the other 2 series I'm going to say is my honorable mention for Generation X. I was very critical of this series when it first came out, but after issue 2 or 3, when I started to understand where the world was going with the world building, I was like, oh shit, this might be one of the best series of the year. And it turned out to be. And I'm really glad I stuck it out. And it was awesome.
Yeah,
but my number one...
I'm glad it stuck out. I think for me, I wanted to pick Gen X as well, but I just had such a rocky start with it. I couldn't go with it, unfortunately. But what were you going to say?
Well, my thing with Generation X is that I wish that issues 1, 2, and 3 were condensed into a single like giant size premiere.
Yep.
Because the real velocity doesn't kick in until issue 3, and I feel like if it were all one single premiere, then it would have. I think it would have gone a little further, but that's okay. My number 1 pick, which is based on execution, is Old Man Logan. Ed Brisson did a tremendous job, as did Mike Deodato and Frank Martin, both for Days of Anger and for the current Scarlet Samurai. And across the board, it was just done. It was a masterclass in how to produce a good comic book. And so even though it's possible that Jean Grey might have a more interesting story, or Astonishing might have a more interesting dynamic, Old Man Logan, however, was done with such expertise. It's hard to not give it, the best series for the year for me.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Cool. Alan, how about you, man?
Well, this is gonna be tough. I think I should probably start with my honorable mentions because I have like more than one this time. I'm not going to cheat, but I really want to say all new Wolverine. The current arc has been one of the most amazing arcs that I've read in a while. I really like where it's headed, where it could go, and what's happened so far. At the same time, I have to say that Jean's been also equally good, and so has Gen X. Just like what you said, Ryan, Gen X was a little rough in the beginning for me, and anyone listening to the show knows that I've been a real proponent of Gen X coming back. So I wanted it to be so successful. It was kind of rocky in the beginning for me.
You didn't even care for Jean Grey when it was announced. You were like, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you remember, I saw the solicit for it was like, this might actually be something.
Yeah, right.
Like this could be something, and I was like, you're probably gonna like this when it comes out. But since we had to pick one like solid answer, and wait, stop! Before I pick that, I almost forgot. All New Wolverine, I have to agree. All New Wolverine has been amazing. With every arc this year has been amazing in All New Wolverine. But since I have to pick one, I'm going to go with Astonishing X-Men. From the beginning, even to the end, I know we were a little critical about the end, but I thought about it, and it's only half of a story
Half,
technically.
right. Yeah.
There's two arcs, but let's be honest. With what they've been doing with the X-Men series, they're saying it's more than one arc, but it's technically really one arc.
This one feels like a true continuation.
But they did that with Death of X and Inhumans vs. X-Men. Like, technically, they were two different arcs, but it was really one solid storyline if you put it all together. But what's going on there was amazing from the beginning, even to the end. Even though the end was a little jarring, it was still made me interested enough to continue on to see what another arc would be. So for that reason, I have to pick Astonishing X-Men.
I'm going to make my honorable mentions as brief as I can. Astonishing X-Men is an honorable mention for all the reasons you guys said, but it really bothered me that it was known so soon that Professor X would come back. And that's more of a solicit and Twitter problem rather than a problem with the issues. But I feel like it didn't impact me in the way that it could have, and I just don't have as much of an attachment to it to pick it as my favorite because of that.
That was the thing. Like we knew he was coming
when it was
back,
announced.
But
when it was announced,
when it was announced, but not that soon though. Like when they did it in issue 6, I was not on board with it. Honestly, like I was like, no, you guys honestly should have waited. You should have waited.
Yeah, Ron. I think that when the series was first announced, I think me and you talked about the series is coming up and it's dealing with the Shadow King, and we both were like, this is probably gonna be the way of bringing Professor X back. And I think we can all agree that when we realized Professor X was coming back, we probably thought it was going to be issue 12 or 13 of the series. We didn't think it was going to be issue 6. I thought expecting that to be the big cliffhanger at the end.
Well, I was hoping. Yeah, I mean, I figured hopefully not halfway through, but at least by the 12th issue, this is where. I mean, we still have to see where this happens. We still have 6. I mean, now we're getting to a mini review.
Oh yeah, man, continuity, people.
Well, not for this issue. I just thought that as far as when issue 12 ended, it would take on. It would be the new ground rules for X-Men moving forward.
The X books moving forward. Yeah,
that could still be the case.
So. Like publicly known and to have such hype about Jean bothers me more. I'm all about this Jean happening right now, but it's Professor X, and it was just like, oh, by the way, he'll be back in 5 issues. Like, we'll just let you know now it's happening. That was kind of.
But does that go to speak of the state of the industry right now? Because we know things are going to happen technically like 3 or 4 months in advance.
Right.
As opposed to it being a surprise.
But that being said, too, my other not honorable mention is Jean for exactly the same reasons Ryan said. So you could just like cut and paste what you said right here. And then but my actual answer is Generation X because of those things.
I knew it.
Very good. Astonishing. Everything about Generation X was unexpected. I didn't expect to have this attachment to it that I do and the relation that there is to focus on these kinds of characters. Like I said, for her writing, when I commented on, picked her for favorite writer, just the way that she's done it has been brilliant. And the art, I've liked the art from the beginning. I think Pinna really nails like creative like angles and perspectives, and there's just a really interesting dynamic between her style of writing and his visual of showing it mixed with these kinds of characters. It just all came together in a way that felt more X-Men to me than all of the other titles.
It's that true like, oddball bunch of characters.
Yeah, and we didn't see any of it coming. There wasn't really anything revealed except that the OG team would come back, and it's Generation X, so of course they would, like Jubilee was there from the beginning. We were so surprised by Chamber off the bat, and he was only like in issue 2 or 3, It just kept having little pieces throughout it that built and built and built, and now I just have like a huge respect for it as a whole.
I think that's funny because everything you said has summed up Gen X. Even being, someone excited for it, I was definitely taken aback by it when it came on, when they released it. I just also want to say I think it's interesting that all of us have like 2 or 3, some of us 4, things that we wanted to choose, and it's just interesting that like where one of us can't choose the book, the other one chooses the book.
Right.
So I think that's interesting. We're like, oh, I want to choose, Gen X, or I want to choose Jean Grey, and if I choose Jean, someone else is going to choose Gen X. So it's awesome. So it works out in the end.
From the answers I'm putting down, there is like a unique variety that I'm getting, but all of our honorable mentions is someone else's actual answer. Yes. So I think
exactly.
It's a really interesting look at it. Yeah.
I think that's awesome and amazing and a little freaky at the same time. It's kind of crazy.
Let's get into our favorite splash page. I'm going to kick it off to Anthony for this one.
This was the hardest one for me. I'm gonna have a couple honorable mentions for this. Oh God, this is really tough.
This is a tough one. This is a toughie.
I'm good. I have like 3 honorable mentions. Okay, real quick. Kitty phasing a whole building in X-Men Gold #1.
Yes, that was a good one.
Okay, I can give you
Jean's fiery death in Jean Grey #10.
Of course.
That's fierce.
And then that's kind of why I'm like, no, I have 3 because I can't not say it, but that was something else. And then Dakin's meditation and All New Wolverine.
Fuck yes.
But
that one almost made it for me. Almost made it.
Almost. What?
But my actual answer, I feel like you guys are, I don't know how you'll think about this, but the reveal of X-Men 2099 and X-Men Blue #16, because
cool.
I think it carried more of the weight of like the effect that a splash page can hold. Like the other ones I said were all like awesome images, but this answered questions, raised questions, showed us a whole new slew of people we haven't seen before. Like to use a splash page to that effect to like answer and raise questions at the same time, like more than just a badass image, it actually was like a pivotal story point for the issue. It was used as like a splash page should be used, is the way I feel. It's not necessarily my favorite looking one of them, but it
for what
was
it stood for.
Yes, the intent was proper.
Very nice, very very nice. All right, how about Alan? What are you thinking, man?
All right, this was also hard for me only because there were
the hardest one.
Yeah, there were a couple of splash pages that I thought were like pretty amazing. What's funny for me though is that the one I'm going to pick and the honorable mention are from the same book, and they're back to back.
Ooh, I know where you're at.
The honorable mention is actually going to be the Jean Grey getting burned up in Jean Grey #10.
Yep.
That was amazing. That was one of those ones where like when I saw it, I was like, I want a poster of that. That's amazing artwork.
I feel like that needs an implied honorable mention for the podcast as a whole.
Yeah, that is implied. Because so that was amazing, like color wise, artist wise, everything about that page was amazing. But with that being said, my actual pick is going to be the following page, which is the aftermath scene where we have the Phoenix in the middle of the page, and then we get to see shots of the aftermath.
Literally, my heart is beating faster listening to you talk about it.
Yes. Switch on guided view, and then the big reveal launches off.
Yes.
Oh boy,
so good.
You get to see Hope knocked out. You get to see the Cuckoos like down. You get to see Quentin and Emma down, and then you get to see Ghost Jean just like I
everyone
failed
bleeding from the nose.
everything I was trying to do. Yes, everybody bleeding. Fiery Phoenix in the middle of the page. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was scary. It was very scary.
Yes.
You actually felt for the whole scene itself.
Yes, you felt for everybody involved in that scene.
Totally.
How Pickles looks in that scene is how I felt.
Yes, yeah, I mentioned that. I mentioned that when we were talking about that. I was like, did you see Pickles in the background? Like, he's scared as shit.
He's in the corner crying, like, yeah. You feel like that, like, oh my goodness, like, we spent 9 issues and Gina's failed.
Like, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Very nice. All right, cool.
Freaking Namor who?
Namor. All right, so I had to go back for myself for Resurrection.
Okay.
I have one honorable mention. It's going to be Astonishing X-Men number 2 when it's during the theater scene and the X-Men realize, hey, we're not supposed to be here. Something's off. They realize what's happening, and that's where they battle it out. And Shadow King's like over them, saying, hey, you're not going to escape this. And you see the whole splash page of all of them just duking it out with all of the old X-Men. Just the narration, the setup to it. It was perfect. But my pick. I got it handed off to X-Men Blue number 8. It is the
what?
Oh yes.
It is the panel when the Danger flies in. We don't know it's Danger at the point, and
Yes.
it's when she conjugates like a whole bunch of X-Men holograms, and Jean Grey's at the bottom. She's saying, "Hey, it's the X-Men!" Super excited. And we have, as the readers, we have no idea what's going on. And yeah, we find out because you see Banshee, Gambit in the old suit, Storm finally doing something as we always say. Everyone's there. And it's
In my mind.
and the reveal afterwards with Danger coming down, just done so well. And for it to be a tie-in for the series, it says a lot to it as well.
Cheating.
The tie-in, maybe tie-ins benefit for X-Men Blue, honestly, because those are some of the best issues for me.
I think you're cheating because we all know the connection that Danger has with the show. So I think that's way cheating. Because now you're going to make us all look bad about what we picked.
I think we're just afraid of Danger to come.
I would say, yeah. I think you guys might be a little bit
Exactly.
scared. I have to deal with her on a daily basis, so we have like more of a connection, I guess.
She might show up in her Foxy Brown mood and like.
There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. We will get into that soon, my friend. Very cool. So, yeah, that is my splash because that meant a lot to me. But how about you, Rob?
Oh boy! All right, so I have 3 honorable mentions and a prime and a number 1 pick. So my honorable mentions are Dakin's Meditative Healing, which you've already talked about, All New Wolverine number 28 by Juan K. Ball and Nolan Woodard,
Respect.
which was beautiful and excellent and totally awesome. The Classroom Brawl from Generation X number 1 by Amilcar Pina and Felipe Sobreiro,
Very nice.
which I loved because although it was dynamic and crazy and all kinds of funny stuff and all kinds of like violence was happening, the thing that I loved the most was all the way in the back was Nature Girl, who had unleashed a flock of geese on Quentin, and stretched across the top of the splash was honk, 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 honk.
Is that the same issue with the janitor in the background as well?
I think he's in the background. I feel like everybody's in the background.
Everybody's in the background.
My third honorable mention is, as we've all said, the End of Grey, Young Jean's death in Jean Grey number 10, or supposed death in air quotes, Alberto Albuquerque and J. David Ramos. But my number 1 pick is a slight cheat, which is from X-Men Prime number 1.
No, that's fair. It's fair.
Okay, all right, you're going way back.
It's fair. It's fair.
That is
It's still
fair.
canon.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's in
still
the rules.
resurrection.
Yep.
It's page number 3 or 4, which is Kitty is dancing alone in her dance studio in Chicago, and then popping through the window
You got me going back
is
now.
Storm, a full-page Storm in her Extraordinary X-Men outfit. There were 6 different artists and colorists on this issue because it was a conglomerate of multiple things, but I'm pretty sure that the artist here was Ken Lashley. And I apologize, I can't tell the colorist, but it was either Maury Hollowell, Frank Marta, or Michael Garland. And she just looked perfect. She's divine. She's powerful. She's friendly. She's Hello Kitten. She's everything.
Yeah.
And the sad part is,
So good.
unfortunately, after X-Men Prime #1, Storm has not been. Storm has been a different character. But,
we're lucky she has dialogue in the issues.
But Storm popping in on Kitty on Prime #1. That's my best splash for the year.
You got me going back to the issue right now digitally.
That just snorted laughing at the Storm shade.
It's funny that you did that because yes, I think like that is Storm. Like it's one of those characters we love in the show. I think what's funny though. What's funny though is that we should probably mention this. We all are a little happy right now. No, we should probably mention the fact that some of us are actually going a little bit further back or a little bit deeper than what other people thought, because I didn't even think to go back to Prime. That was I didn't think about that golden either. Prime. I mean, right now between the 4 of us, we probably all have like books spread out everywhere and digital copies open on like multiple screens. So it's funny to see where some of us are actually coming from.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah.
Prime. I should have went to Prime.
I know. Now that we're going back to Prime, like, what happened to this? Like, X-Men.
I know.
Yeah. Damn it, Rob.
We're trying to stay positive. Let's not go there.
I almost put it on there.
He's got a point. Let's let that be the only time we go back to Prime.
There we go.
It's for positive memories.
There we go. I agree with that. All right, cool. This one's probably gonna be hard too. I think. Favorite panel now. Favorite panel, guys.
Yeah.
Favorite panel.
Hard.
Let's see here. I'm gonna kick it off to Alan for this one.
Oh my goodness. Just because my brain just lapsed right now, I'm going to go with what my favorite panel is. I'm sure one of you guys are going to probably mention something that was an honorable mention for me. But my number 1 panel is actually going to be in All New Wolverine 28. And that's going to be the Gabby panel where she gets the Honey Badger name.
Yes.
And she starts thinking about like all the Wolverine covers with like the Honey Badger on them.
That's one of my honorable mentions.
So good.
But now that I think about it, my an honorable mention will also come from the same issue, and that will be Dakin's meditation scene.
Sure.
That was amazing, and I mean, dare I go here? Also, the opening panel from that same issue, because I think I spoke about how the artist used biology and science in the artwork he did, because you open up with like the molecules of how they broke the molecules down to recreate the Miramas's blade.
Perfect. So and then when we get to and then when you get to Dakin, he's going from a molecular level of Dakin regenerating all the way. Like the little panel show like the molecules, the atoms, and then you see the bone, the muscle, and then we get the full panel, which is the rest of his regeneration. So that's the honorable mention.
Perfect.
Very nice.
Yes.
I'm gonna volunteer because mine is also Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Honey Badger. Yes.
When she says perfect and just the background behind her just blew me away. I think that I might have like laughed and been most satisfied by that of any panel this year.
What's funny is you laugh about it, but like everything works in it. The humor, the colors,
so well done.
The way they depicted her face, where she's like, "Yes,
she's so amazing.
Why have I never thought of that before?" She's so happy she finally has a code name.
But I just want to throw out there my honorable mention, though, is when Nature Girl says that. Oops.
she didn't say that. She didn't say oops.
I just dropped a bunch of comics. Trying to find it again because I was just sitting here staring at Gabby first and said I switched pages. In Generation X, number 9, when Nature Girl says that she'll still babysit for Miss Opossum. I love that.
That was a great moment.
So
I forgot about Miss Opossum.
That just was so just put such a smile on my face to read that panel.
And it's funny you say that because that's something that readers look for, is that they do look for something that's kind of comedic. We want something that's going to make us drop a tear, make go oh my goodness, make us laugh, make us cry, and that was definitely a panel that made us laugh.
Mm-hmm. It was also on a page that involves something a little more sad and deep with Quentin leaving. Right. So to be able to have that portrayed on the same page really stood out to me too, and I think I just always think about Miss Possum now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that goes to speak about what we've been seeing in Gen X, is the fact that depending on what story we're getting, they either balance out the other development going on in subplot B or C.
Right.
Here we have a plot with Nature Girl and Miss Opossum, but then it's balanced out with Quentin leaving. So I think that says something about the writing style that was going on in Gen X.
She made me want to babysit for Miss Opossum.
Yeah,
and I never wanted.
Did she make you want Miss Opossum to be like a regular character in the book?
Yeah, just running around on the school ground,
hanging out with Jonathan.
The worst part about that is that Miss Opossum would still have more to do than Storm, and that really hurts
me. hey now, Mr. Negative.
God.
No, but Anthony, did you give your solidified?
It's Honey Badger.
Honey Badger too. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, look, we don't even know anymore. We don't even know what's going on anymore.
We
I'm on the same page as you. I agree. We got.
All right, cool. Well, with that being said, I'm gonna give my first honorable mention. I have one. I have several. Okay. A lot of everything you guys mentioned definitely is an honorable mention. But the ones that stood out to me as honorable mention the most would have to be Jean Grey issue number 2. It's when Hope and Jean Grey finally meet up.
Hope, yeah.
Yes.
And it's the panel where all the Reavers are kind of going after them, and it's the bottom panel after that. It says, you obviously haven't met my father. And she's like, what the hell is going on? Just the whole exchange, seeing the two together, the opposite characterizations of both of them on the same page, and the whole. I mean, then you get to the next page. It's that whole page of you see the underducks of where the other Reavers are coming at after him as well.
Yes,
it's that's fucking cool. So I have to go with transition as well in there. It's fucking stunning. But my pick. Gotta go with my splash page. Same basis. X-Men Blue number 8. It's the Polaris reveal at the end.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. For the sheer fact that when she comes in to the building, she's like, "Hey, Havoc, we haven't seen each other in a while. It's gonna be a painful reunion, Havoc." And then that's where the cliffhanger was. So the fact we got the double dose of, that's when we really got to finally see Danger and Polaris in X-Men Blue. I was like, yes, finally something new to bring some light to the series and some awesomeness. What are you gonna say, Alan?
I was gonna say what's funny is that all of us should have possibly mentioned that, especially me, because when that popped up, the last issue I remember seeing Polaris in was when her and Havoc were going to get married. And so that was like a callback to that issue and how crazy she went for me. So that should have been something I should have picked.
Yeah, that really stood out.
Too much to consider in figuring out a lot of these answers.
It is. It really is.
But on top of that, I have another honorable mention I just thought about that all 4 of us should have mentioned and none of us mentioned. Are you ready for this? It's the panel in, I believe it was X-Men Blue, when Team Danger was revealed.
Nah.
Where we saw Iceman, where we saw Magneto, Polaris, and Danger.
Oh yeah.
How did none of us pick that panel?
I think that was the last one of Blue for Mojo.
Yes,
Yes,
I think it was the last one. It was somewhere around the middle to the end of Mojo, but yeah, that panel where we saw them all come down, and how did none of us pick that? Like that was just an amazing moment.
That was a great moment.
Did you go yet, Rob?
Oh no,
not
yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
What is that?
We're not skipping them.
So excited.
I was just about to say we haven't even heard Rob, so he might be way beyond
we haven't heard
us.
Rob, what did you pick? I have a feeling.
All right, look, I want everybody to just sit down and be comfortable because I have like 75 different picks. So we're going to go through each one point by point. And we'll get through it. No.
Okay,
no.
let's hear this.
All right, so no, I have 4, 1 prime and 3 honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Shadow King and Charles Xavier from Astonishing X-Men #2 by Mike Deodato, where they're sitting across from each other in that kind of creepy astral plane cafe playing chess, and the whole panel is surrounded by the webbing with that exquisite Deodato detail, which just like that was the panel that made me a Deodato fan. I mean, he was excellent up to that point, but when I saw that, I was over the moon. Yeah. My next one is a very simple panel from All New Wolverine #27, which is my perfect 10 issue by Juan Cabal and Nolan Woodard, which is just the simple panel of Snikt, which is a red background. And Laura pops her claws after Dakin attacks Sarah.
Yep.
And her 2 claws form letters, and it almost became my profile image for Instagram and Twitter. That's how much I loved it.
That says a lot.
Number 3,
Rob, you're right about that 10 out of 10 though.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that
was flawless.
Me and Alan couldn't get
it
that
was
high,
flawless.
but
I don't know if you guys listened to that episode, but we wanted to give it 10 out of 10, but because it's still inside of an arc, we didn't feel right giving it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
but we were there with you guys though. We were like, that was like an amazing issue, and
perfect.
If that criteria had not been in place, that would have been a 10 out of 10 for us.
Yep, easily.
My third honorable mention is from X-Men Blue #8, the panel by Corey Smith, Joey Vacquez, Terry Pallett, and Matt Miller, which is Danger's big reveal. You know, how many people turned the page and saw that the Blackbird was Danger and went, "What the fuck?"
Right.
That was.
I literally couldn't pick my job. Yeah.
So my number 1 pick is from All New Wolverine #22, Leonard Kirk, Corey Hampshire, Michael Garland, and Eric Arcienega. Sorry if I butchered that. Which is Gabby gives Deadpool the finger. I mean, come on.
I forgot about Gabby and Deadpool. Yes.
Gabby gives Deadpool the finger, and I was over the moon. It was perfect.
Not only is this like a review show, but we get to reminisce on all the great stuff that happened that we forgot about, and we get to talk about now.
And that goes to that ties into what we've been saying the whole entire show, is that what one person picks is somebody else's honorable mention, or some of us are bringing up things that the other ones completely forgot about. And that's awesome. That is amazing, because now we get to reminisce and go back to when we first saw those panels or those pages.
No doubt.
For sure.
Yeah, getting to the bottom of the barrel now.
Oh my goodness.
Still a good thing though. Let's see, what do we have next? I think it's probably gonna be hard. Because it's going to favorite single issue.
That's hard. This is probably the hardest category that we've had.
Yeah, I'm going to hand it off to Anthony for this one.
Ooh, this was actually one of them I struggled with least. Jean Grey #5, the Psylocke issue of Jean.
Nice.
Okay.
Good choice.
I think it was so much fun. I think the characterization, the story, the concept was more addressed too. It was kind of like a turning point issue. And it was so much fun to see her training with Psylocke and making all those new weapons.
The hand.
It was probably one of the most fun issues I had that I really didn't expect. I mean, the other ones had been fun and she'd been training, but this took it to like a new level and kind of it was like a turning point, especially with the hand and everything. I mean,
kept leveling up. That was like a whole level up arc. Yeah.
That's what a level up issue. Yeah,
it was
it's
one of
funny.
the more fun times I've had reading an issue this year.
It's funny you said that because the issue before that wasn't that the friggin' Namor issue.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Thor one.
Yeah.
No, the Thor one was before that.
No, Thor was before
friggin'
Psylocke.
Namor, yeah.
And then Namor.
Yeah, it was Thor before Psylocke.
Namor was issue 3,
Mm-hmm.
Thor was number 4, and then Psylocke was number 5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It was like the hosts in one.
Yes.
Like the general. Jean Grey number 5. That was not that. I thought of it pretty quickly, and I just stuck with it. I thought of a lot of other ones, but I don't even have honorable mentions wrote down because I just
Wow.
with this.
I'm there with you as well.
A lot of other really good issues, but I would have like 12 of them. We'd be sitting here for another hour if I really got to know. There's a handful of other things, but you guys will probably say them all anyway. So
yeah, I don't have an honorable mention off the top of my head, but I'm gonna go with you for the most part. But I'm going Jean Grey number 3. That was the end of her kind of getting in contact with Namor and kind of going from there.
Freaking
Namor. And it's a whole underwater scene. The kind of horror vibe. Because she's being chased after this giant ass fish, who's all mongled out. It's crazy, but yeah, it's such great.
Stunning.
Art was stunning. It was her leveling up to level 2 to go on to train with all the other teachers. So we got to see the whole transformation leading up to this finale of the arc. Was just nailed so perfectly, and these first 3 issues are always going to be something I have to go back to at least once a year. By the wrap up by the end of this was stunning. And we also see Namor at one point kind of freaking out because it's when him and Jean are talking and he's sitting on his throne and he's just scared shitless as well. But yeah, overall just a great issue that hit all the points for me. But yeah, no honorable mentions, but I'm sure you guys might mention some as well. Rob, how about you?
Oh, I have several.
Wise choice.
So I'm going to do it reverse. I'm going to do my number 1 pick and then some honorable mentions.
Okay.
My number 1 pick is going to be X-Men Blue number 8. Colin Bunn, Corey Smith, Joey Vazquez, Derry Pallett, Matt Miller, and Joe Caramagna. This was the Secret Empire tie-in. We've talked about it a lot tonight. It had, in my opinion, the most holy shit moments of a single issue for the year. And at the end of the day, isn't that why we love reading comic books, is for the holy shit moments?
Yeah.
You have Emma wants to make Cyclops her boy toy. Danger reveals herself. Magneto has Red Skull's Red Skull. Yes. Polaris arrives to whoop Havoc's ass. I mean, it was just
it was every time the issue that pulled out everything for us.
It was every time you turned the page, it was like, holy shit! Wait, holy shit! It just kept escalating, and it was so good.
That was the one issue where we were like, I hope Blue continues in this direction. We all hope something happens from here.
Damn right, we said that.
But my 3 honorable mentions include, of course, All New Wolverine number 26, Tom Taylor, Wonky Ball, Nolan Woodard, and Corey Pettit. That's my perfect 10 for the year. It really is a flawless issue. I can't stress that enough. Generation X number 5, Christina Strain, Alberto Jimenez, Albuquerque, Felipe Sobriero, Clayton Cowles. This was the Nature Girl, Eye Boy.
I do that all the time.
Yes.
About the 2 of them together, I do that all the time.
That was the turnaround issue.
It was a completely isolated issue that really didn't have much to do with the rest of the series, except it sets the tone for the whole series. If you think about it, it's the most fun, most funny,
that's right,
probably the most unique issue of the entire year. It was beautiful, and Nature Girl is just heaven.
That's where it changed for the better, I think.
For me, absolutely. that was the turnaround issue. That was the issue where it seemed like the series found its footing, and it seemed like they knew exactly where they wanted to go with the story being told. And I'm glad that issue came up at some point in this whole entire discussion. It's because I knew Jenna X was going to come out a few times, but that was the one issue I was hoping we were going to eventually somehow talk about in some way, shape, or form.
And my final honorable mention is, of course, for X-Men Prime number 1. You know,
Going back to the prime.
Coming
Back
to
to prime.
I'm bringing it back. And the reason I'm doing that is because, you know, in 2016, we had 5 X-Men comics: Old Man Logan, All New Wolverine, All New X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and one that I'm forgetting. And and
Was it Extreme?
And the point, Extraordinary. That's what it was. Thank you.
Extraordinary. That's
God,
what it
I forgot
was.
the one
Yeah.
with Storm. Oh my God, be still my heart. So anyway,
Wow.
I saw. The point is that, you know, I kind of lost steam with that whole kind of world that was being built with the mansion and Inferno and blah blah blah. But I randomly, completely perchance, in April, walked into a comic shop and picked up some old issues from the Dark Phoenix saga and also X-Men Prime #1. And I said, holy shit, especially with that Storm splash page. I said, I need to get back into X-Men and I need to give it my undivided attention. And here we are a year later. And, you know, I'm part of this wonderful family here, and that's great. But X-Men Prime #1 is the start of all of that. So I have to give it very special attention.
I have to step in real fast and say that you actually did something just now. You made me care and remember about X-Men Prime #1, and wow, you just took me back to the
it's really
the feelings and emotions that I had when Prime #1 came out, and I was like, oh my goodness!
That's when I came out of IVX.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I wasn't
Yeah,
really
we
reading
came out
X-Men
of
at the
IVX.
time. I mean, I was, but I wasn't catching up with it. So that's why. That's
That's
how
when
this
we
whole
started
thing
getting serious about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, Prime #1 is how everything started. So it's funny that yet again you go back to not just Prime, but you go back to Prime number. You know, you go back to that specific time frame where it's like that issue is the reason we're doing what we're doing now.
It is.
That's
Like
right.
that's the reason that we have X-Men Mondays because of Prime #1.
And IVX a little bit.
Yeah.
IVX a
Prelude,
little bit too.
Prelude.
Yeah. Prelude. I mean, if you want to go that route, you can say Death of X also. But I
Yeah,
mean, primarily it's Prime #1.
Speaking of favorite issues, how about you, Alan?
Oh boy! Now this is the one spot where I get to cheat a little bit.
Nice.
I can actually pick something that even though it's not completed, it is still going on. My favorite issue is probably going to be I can't necessarily pick one, but it's the last 3 issues of All New Wolverine. I have yeah, I went there. I'm the one that went there.
You have to pick just one.
It's hard not to.
All right, what was
Yeah,
the last
pick
issue?
one.
28? Was 28 the last issue?
28.
Was that the
Yes,
last
yeah.
issue? 28?
Yep.
Then I'm going to actually pick 28 as my favorite issue.
I just wanted to see what you'd say.
I wanted to say 27 because of what the Orphans of X did to
Right.
Captain Marvel. Like that that amazes me.
Yes.
That was really good.
This is a matter of fact, that's gonna be my pick. This Splinter group, these new villains managed to take down one of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe. And that says a lot. If nobody feared the Orphans of X before that issue, that is the issue 27 is where they should actually fear them.
Yeah. All their
because
planning.
they managed to take. It's not just the planning. It's the fact, for me at least, it's the fact they managed to take down Captain Marvel. The only other person that I can think of is if they took down like Doctor Strange or if they took down the Sentry. Like she's one of those characters who is extremely powerful. And for a bunch of people who are normal to take down, that says a lot. That shows that they are a threat. And that's something we've been needing in the X comics is a group that's an actual threat. And Orphans of X
Right.
in that
Absolutely.
issue prove themselves as a threat.
Respect.
I would love
Yeah.
I try not to talk about Orphans of X too much because they might they might find us. Who knows?
Come after you. Yeah.
I mean, come on. We have danger on our side. We're fine.
We have
You're
danger.
right.
Yeah.
We are good at that point.
Foxy Brown Danger. We have her on our side. So
Yes, sir. All right, cool. Well, this is the last positive topic. We'll see what happens after this one.
the last positive.
Let's go ahead and get into our favorite story arc, which probably is our hardest one. I also don't have a
Yeah.
Mention. I don't have an honorable mention for this one. It would
I don't
be
either.
it would be Jean Grey, but I personally can't consider it finished just yet. Because Jean Grey seems like one big story arc, and we have one issue left of it, so I can't go that route. But I'm gonna give it to Ed Brisson for Old Man Logan, Days of Anger.
Fuck yeah!
What?
For
wait, before you continue, I want to say
I know
that as your go-to co-host, I am surprised that that is your pick.
I know.
And just because of what arc it was. If it had been a different story arc, not surprised. But Days of Anger, that surprises me.
Yeah, because I personally went kind of Resurrection since we started the podcast-esque. But Ed Brisson was able to, being a former editor, doing some minor stories, his stories at least stuck. Each one stuck. There were some down parts to it, but it always rounded out to be top notch have you want to continue moving forward with the Mike Deodato and Frank Martin as well. The whole team slayed, but what Ed Brisson was able to do as far as pulling some of these older stories and kind of giving us a action-packed kung fu sort of style to it, it really worked. I have to give it to Ed Brisson for story arc with Days of Anger. No honorable mentions. Ed Brisson gets it.
Wow.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'll hand it off to you, Alan.
Oh wow, you're gonna give it to me, even though I may have possibly tried to cheat this category. I'll be honest. I wanted to pick something that is still an ongoing arc. I really wanted to pick the Orphans of X arc going on right now.
Me too. Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I could not pick it for the reason that it is an ongoing arc. And for this category, we honestly need to pick something that is an arc that was completed. For that reason, I'm going to actually go with Astonishing X-Men. Nice. Even though we knew going into it, or at least within the first couple issues, that this was going to be a retcon / resurrection of Professor X in Phantom X, I have to pick this because it was a roller coaster. This was the only X book throughout the year that each issue we were consistently I really want to give it a 9 or a 10, but I gotta hold off to see where it goes. So for that reason, I have to pick this, and also for the reason that even though the ending was the way it was, it did make you want to stick around for the second half to see what the next arc is. And that's what you want to do in books. In comic books, you want to not only tell a solid story with a solid arc, you want to hook the reader in so they come back for the next arc or come back for the next 2 or 3 arcs. And that's what Astonishing managed to do.
So I keep volunteering to go after Alan because everything that you keep picking is exactly what I was going to say. Life of X from Astonishing X-Men number 1 through 6. I think it's a very unique story in comparison to the rest going on. It has a very classic feel and touches on a lot of classic tones of X-Men, but it's a very fresh, unique take on it. And there's a lot of trippy art. A lot of characters do things that I don't see them do much. That was really cool. We got a lot of cool Gambit action and Bishop saving himself. I thought was really cool when he was falling.
Yeah, that was that issue. Yeah,
and shout out to I gotta give a quick shout out to Mystique as well. And on Astonishing X-Men, Foxy as ever and doing her thing. It was lovely.
There's so much cool stuff. Yeah.
I hate to do this, but since we're giving shout outs for Astonishing X-Men, I'm surprised that the rest of you haven't done this yet. Let's give a shout out to Rogue.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You got to.
I can't. And here's why. Because Uncanny Avengers should be in this category as well.
Literally.
Well, we're not doing X Jason books. We're not X and Jason books.
We'll do that afterwards. That's a separate podcast at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock in the morning.
Little segment. the last segment can be for whatever. Okay.
Life of X was definitely the best. I have felt the most classic and the most fresh at the same time. I did not think Shadow King would be so exciting. Professor
Exactly.
X thing at the end actually really kind of blew me away. I mean, his monologue over why the three of them were the three and to use Phantom X in that way was very unique. I mean, it's
Leaves you
it's a really
a whole bunch of questions.
yeah, it's a really
funny.
twisted, weird story, and that's very classic X-Men. Like all of the titles now, it reached a point that other titles haven't been able to reach that feel like X-Men did.
Right.
It's funny you said that, and it's awesome that we are a team because I'm going to add on to that. Not just the dialogue that he had for why he picked each one of them, but the dialogue he had all through the middle of the book.
Yes.
Because part of the dialogue was like, "Oh, I picked them because they're the ones that are most used to these kind of things, or they're the ones that can be not so easily corrupted." Like that was awesome. But even when he's like, "Okay, well now this is my moment," because Shadow King is not paying attention. His focus is over here and over here and over here, and this is my chance to break free. Like all that whole entire dialogue from Professor X was amazing.
Yeah, because that's when we were
Not
able
just
to. That's when his whole plan unraveled in front of us. And
that's
paid
when
off.
we see Professor X has a plan.
So
Bravo.
good.
Bravo indeed. How about you, Rob?
Very much. Oh boy. So since technically Tom Taylor's Orphans of X is ongoing and it's not complete. Otherwise, it would have been my pick. Some quick honorable mentions to, of course, Life of X by Charles Soule and Days of Anger by Ed Brisson. They're both brilliant. So therefore, because the things I wanted to say have already been picked, I'm going to pick the other two that I have. My genuine honorable mention is going to be Nightmare Fuel by Dennis Hopeless, which is the first 6 or so issues of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know it's Nightmare Fuel is because that's the name of the trade paperback. I don't think it was ever.
I was trying to look at the issues to see if there was an arc name for it, but I couldn't. So it was in the trade. Good to know.
It was in the trade. So canon, it counts. But anyway, it was very good. And of course, Jean Grey has been. When people look back at the X-Men comics of 2017, I can't imagine that we will not mention Jean Grey first and foremost.
Easily.
And Dennis Hopeless did a fantastic job, and that needs to be recognized. So my number one pick, which is going to be a little surprising, which is going to be Cullen Bunn, X-Men Blue, and Secret Empire.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
Wait a minute. Secret Empire. Okay. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah. What happened before Secret Empire was awesome. What happened after Secret Empire perhaps left a little bit to be desired, but that doesn't matter. During Secret Empire was those moments, including issue number 8, where we turned every page and we said, "What the fuck is happening?" Danger and Polaris and Red Skull's Red Skull. And I'm like, this is just brilliant across the board. And, like I said earlier, what I love most about comic books is when you are just completely invested in the what the fuck moments, and that arc, Secret Empire for X-Men Blue by Cullen Bunn, really, really did it for me. So I'm going to go ahead and give that my number one.
No, so much respect there, because that I will say that's one of my honorable mentions, because that did so much for us on the podcast as well. We gushed over that arc. But like you said, Rob, afterwards, maybe not so much. Needs some work. We'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, those 2 issues, right? 7 and 8,
3
or 6,
7,
6
8,
9, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, those were some of the best issues of X-Men Blue, hands down. Hands down.
Hands down.
Agreed.
But yeah, that is all the categories that we had. I guess we can.
Wait. Did you go?
Yeah, I went Ed Brisson for Old Man Days of Anger. Old Man Logan Days of Anger.
Right.
Yeah, Days of Anger. I was talking about how I was surprised he even picked that.
Right.
You cut that one out.
Yeah, that came out on top for me. But
that's just a lot.
Let's see here. Let's see. Character who got shafted the most.
Man.
I'm kind of feeling this is a 4-way tie amongst the same person. But go ahead.
Storm, hands down for me.
Storm.
Yeah. Come on, Storm. It's Storm.
Yeah.
Storm. Across the board, Storm.
Yeah.
I think we often talk about the fact that there are certain books and there are certain characters that are like across the board staples for the show. There are certain characters that we all love. Gabby, as a character that we all like love and we appreciate when something's done with her.
Nature Girl.
Nature Girl. Yeah.
Nature Girl. That's another character. But we can also say Storm. Storm is one of those characters where it doesn't matter if it's Storm, Bloodstorm. We have an affinity for that character, and we know the strength of that character, and it matters to us when she does something or when she doesn't do anything. And unfortunately, we've been seeing that she hasn't really been doing anything. It's a shame when we're excited when she says, "Hey guys, let's go over here." Like it's a shame. It's a shame when just like one little word bubble gets us excited that she finally did something to issue.
There's something I'm wondering if the upcoming solo series has any part to play in that, but there's been so much of Gold so far, and to have a focus on her losing leadership in Prime was really annoying.
Relinquishing leadership.
Coming off of Extraordinary.
I'm sorry. I think it's really offensive that we're not acknowledging all the great contributions the Storm made this year.
Yeah.
One, when they all had outings, the weather was beautiful. Number two, somebody had to warm the X-Jet. I mean, come on. This was a lot of work.
I'm sure it was cozy too. I'm sure it was
cozy.
It
was cozy. It was clearly the right temperature. I mean, come on.
What's funny is that I believe that we all agree that when her solo series was announced, we all agreed that it needs to be a combination of what's going on in Gold right now, plus
she's dealing with, a
little backstory. Like we should get her in turmoil. Like, oh my goodness, I need to leave the team because I was a failed leader and I'm not fitting in as like a secondary or thirdary character on this team, while at the same time educating new readers as to who Storm is and what her history is. But I think that's one thing. Like, hopefully, we will all receive from the upcoming Storm series. I know when we all heard about it, I think we all were wanting some character development for what's been going on in Gold, plus a little bit of acknowledgement as to what her history is.
Right.
You said it.
Hopefully, we get that.
You said it the best. You said it the best.
I try sometimes. I really do.
Last but not least, I'll give one more out there. We'll say, series that should have.
Oh wow!
Oh,
you don't have to say anymore. I think we're all on the same page. But go ahead.
Series that should have been a better staple or better characterization.
I have 4 picks, so go ahead, anyone.
Yeah.
For 2017.
I say that you go ahead and go, Rob, because chances are that you're going to have.
I'm going to shut you all down.
What we're all going to say.
You're damn right. All right, so where are we begin? First of all, go ahead.
Wait, can I go before you because I might disagree with you?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I doubt it, but you go ahead.
Okay, my honorable mention is about to be your answer, but my answer is the first 5 issues of Cable because it was a waste, and it did not play off of where Cable left off, which was way more interesting by all accounts. It was a complete waste. There were too many issues in it. It didn't work at all. I hated it.
Cable actually made his way into this discussion.
Finally, after 2 hours, we finally mentioned Cable.
It's like the only X book we have not mentioned yet.
That being said, I mean that could have been 3 issues that we could have had the first 2 issues addressed where he left off.
4 pages and a half. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, but I'll pass the mic to you because you're right.
I'm fucking fired up. I am ready to go.
And he's fired up and ready to go. So
I have had 4 bottles of wine tonight. I am ready.
Very nice.
All right, so the 4 biggest... I don't recall the name of the category, but the 4 biggest disappointments have been... one, Cable, of course. I mean, Cable is a dynamic, interesting character, and issues 1 to 5 were... God damn, they were boring. Like, they were just boring. Like, they were,
Do you remember issues 1 through 5?
No, I didn't even read 4.
That guy's name was Conquest, and there was a sword.
All I remember is Conquest and a sword, so that says a lot.
The only thing I remember is that the art was nice.
Yeah.
All right, so just give credit where it's due. The art was nice.
That too.
Next, fuck it, let's just go there. Iceman. Iceman, when it was revealed a few years ago or last year, whenever the hell it was, that Iceman was gay, I thought, finally, he's interesting. This is great. And when, to me, Iceman #1 was the most anticipated issue of the year, and unfortunately, it did not live up to my expectations. And neither did the whole series. And if you want to know why, you can read the reviews and, of course, listen to the previous episodes. But the truth of the matter is, it just didn't really do it for me, so I'm going to move on.
Hold on. What's funny is I will tell them why. They finally had something that could have made the character interesting.
Yeah.
But yet and still they chose to either downplay or overplay the element that made the character interesting.
Right.
There was a lot of chance for development that was not taken.
Yeah.
There is another book that we've talked about several times this evening.
Oh, I got 2 more to go. I'm ready.
Oh, I'm sure you're ready.
Are you still talking about Cable? I had to go get a beer.
No, we're we're on Iceman.
I had to get ready for what's coming.
We're on Iceman, and how much of a disappointment Iceman was. Yeah, there's another book that told the same story but did it much better.
Much better.
Much better.
I mean, I'm sorry. I would clarify that it was a different story and it was a much better story.
Yeah. Okay, but I'll let you go on there.
Yeah, that Generation X told a better story than.
Yeah, much better.
And so my first runner-up would be Weapon X, which was a thinly veiled disguise. When we were sold at Weapon X via X-Men Prime, I think we were all led to believe that this was kind of like the latest incarnation of X-Force.
Yeah, true mercenary.
With the most dangerous X-Men and Wolverine or Wolverine derivative and Sabretooth and Deathstrike, etc. And yet it turned out to be, 11 issues of plus 3 issues of Totally Awesome Hulk plus a one-shot of Weapons of Mutant Destruction. It turned out to be a 14-issue introduction to Hulkverine that literally nobody wanted.
Nobody asked.
Even Marvel admitted at New York Comic Con, they even admitted that it's an 8-year-old's dream. It's like 8-year-olds don't buy fucking comic books. Why are you writing for 8-year-olds? But whatever.
I have got to stop you right there real fast because from the beginning of this series, we all of us pretty much called it as, this is the modern day X Factor or X Force, like you just said. Like this is the Black Ops team that's going to do like all these crazy things, and then we quickly realized that this is a backdoor pilot to the Weapon H series.
Bingo. Exactly. And
on top of that, that could have still worked. They could have made that work.
The only comment
they didn't.
The only comment I have here is it really is the only one of the Resurrection event that I dropped. And I get why people liked it, but there was nothing new or exciting or fresh about it that made it worth spending that money on to me.
Not one thing.
What's funny is I'm the guy on this show who has the most connection to
Wolverine.
The idea of Weapon X and even a Hulkverine. And even I'm like, you know
Bullshit.
what? Like this whole series was started just to backdoor a pilot to this character's
totally.
book.
And that's all I can really echo off of you guys.
That says a lot, though. Because
that would be my pick. You would think it would be Iceman. Iceman was, unfortunately, did not work for me. But Weapon X was the issue, or was the series that had so much potential. What we were sold on, like you were said, Rob. Everything you guys were saying. But for it to be an utter backdoor garbage pitch. For that to take all the love that we have for these characters out of the fold just to use them, as a pawn to get us to literally him jumping off to his fucking next series. So much disrespect. I thought to us fans and readers. I hate to go off on this book. I can go off on Iceman, but Iceman at least had a direction
Well, yeah.
a direction that it wanted to take. This
Right.
was
Iceman
moderated by the editors and the
What's
suits.
funny though is the fact that we got into this series, and then after a couple of issues, we started seeing that weapons of mutant destruction is coming.
A 12-issue
we
fucking
were like,
not even arc.
Prelude.
well,
It was a prelude, then a bullshit, and then a post.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, but between me and you, Ryan, the thing that we noticed was that once we learned that weapons of mutant destruction was coming, because remember I was more into this series than you were, and I quickly called like, well, this series, this spinoff is coming, and the first 7, 8, whatever issues of Weapon X were really a prelude to this series that they did not call a prelude. So it like from the beginning of the series, from issue 1 on into once you realize that they're bringing in Weapon H, you realize that the first 7, 8, whatever issues are actually a prelude, but they're not calling it a prelude to Weapon H. Like it almost makes it takes away from the series, because you see that the series may have been only started just to introduce his character.
In the end, unfortunately.
And that's what I mean, because in the end, he literally jumps off panel to start off his own series. So it makes it feel like that the series was only created and only started just so that Marvel could introduce Weapon H.
Yeah, if we could not have story arcs end with the villain just leaping off page, that'd be really great.
Exactly.
I do what I'm not even done yet. That wasn't even my worst pick.
Oh no, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Before you go on, just in case people think about Maestro jumping off, we at least saw that he is.
Oh, I forgot about Maestro.
I know.
We at least saw that he is
Maestro
around, and he is at least planning something dangerous with the NF Doom creation.
Ryan, I have to chime in real fast. I completely forgot that Maestro jumped off panel to his time machine.
Right.
That was cool though.
Set up. Yeah. No, that was done very well, because we knew that the time machine was in play and he disappeared. So you automatically say that, Maestro went to his time machine to come back in a later issue or a later series.
Right. There was a difference between Old Man Logan with Maestro jumping into a time/reality machine and the Hulk Vereen saying, we have nothing more to go to my series now. I'm just peace out. See ya. I'm just gonna leap into my own solo series. See ya. But I do want to point out,
Hulk Vereen said, "You know what? I'm done with this series. I'm going to leap into issue number 1 of Hulk Vereen, or I'm willing to bet when it comes out, it's going to be Weapon H." So he said, "I'm going to leap off into issue number 1 of Weapon H."
But the point, the thing is that Weapon X was, I think, a misleading mission statement, right? I mean, they sold themselves as an X-Force, but in reality, it was just this Hulk Vereen prelude. Iceman, love it or hate it, has a clear mission. We might not love the mission it has, but who cares? I mean, at least it has a point and a reason to exist within the Marvel universe.
Exactly. There's some people that have been affected by Iceman and
and that's a good
serious relation to it. Yeah,
right. And
who has a relationship to a bunch of X Factor members?
But what's crazy is that I love that we have this format and we have these 4 different opinions, because you bring up a very valid point. Even though none of us liked Iceman had a clear go.
It did.
And they went for that clear go, whether it felt rushed or whether it felt like they took the time to tell the story they wanted to tell. They still went for it. Whereas Weapon X would seem like a X Factor / X-Force series. Its clear goal was to establish Weapon X and set up his series, and then think about the Weapon X series as an actual series after the fact.
But I will still say that my highest dishonorable mention goes not to any of these series. It goes to X-Men Gold. It goes specifically to Mark Guggenheim.
Okay.
Killigoth. Is this Killigoth?
Killigoth.
Well, Space Hitler is hard to ignore, but but that's a component. The problem with X-Men Gold, among many other problems, is that it is the flagship. It's meant to represent our series, our X-Men family. It is the #1 issue. It's the best-selling individual comic of the X-Men family, and it's meant to represent lots of different things. And at the end of the day, it all feels rather rushed, lackluster, uninteresting. And I'm sorry, but the truth of the matter is that when you have a writer who is clearly writing for a different medium, in this case television, adapting his writing to comics to the point where you can't trust fans to understand metaphor or subtlety, that we actually have to not only have an alien Hitler, but literally put him in front of an army of sociopaths, in front of flags that are red with white circles and black lettering. I mean, we get it. He's an alien Hitler. You don't have to beat us over the head with it. Clearly, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm sorry. As the flagship, I expect the bar is so much higher for X-Men Gold than it is for any other issue, and I feel like any other series, and I feel like no other series has missed that point quite like X-Men Gold and Mark Guggenheim.
And if you think about it, as well, the Kologoth arc was the the first original arc that we got from Guggenheim, so that's why we were kind of because he kind of set it up a little bit. Prior, but everything else was a tie-in essentially to it was either Mojo or Secret Empire, plus maybe after an issue or two after Primer. But yeah, this was at least for me, it was the arc that I was like, okay, we'll finally see what Guggenheim can bring to the table for an X-Men story and arc, and yeah, it just has not been good. And like you said, flagship title, the main characters that most people know and love. Come on.
What's funny is this is going to come up for the next couple of minutes, is the fact that this is the flagship book. This is the book that we're supposed to think of when we hear X-Men.
Right. Yes.
We're supposed to, we hear X-Men, we think X-Men Gold. And here we go with Kologoth, as we've coined on this show, Space Hitler. Not like subtle Space Hitler, but blatantly, with unapologetically Space Hitler. They literally made his backstory to be Space Hitler, and it's a little hard to connect. They got the aspect when it comes to hate. We hate the character because we realize Space Hitler, but as far as connecting with it, feeling like he's a threat.
Well, the funny thing is as evil as he is, he has given the X-Men 12 different opportunities to up and leave. And
that was the next thing I was getting to.
One way to paradise. One way ticket to paradise.
The fact that he literally spent a couple of issues with his train of thinking was, I want to conquer this planet. The X-Men are going to prevent me from conquering this planet. So I need to do, say, and anything it takes to get them to leave.
And let's not forget,
he gave them so many opportunities.
Let's not forget that they invaded his space.
What was that?
Let's not forget they invaded his space by teleporting into his ship.
Well, you know what? We've talked about the fact that they have to do something with Old Man Logan, and this is an arc where it's continuing on because of Old Man Logan. Because while Kologoth is okay, I'll give you back your teammates, but you need to leave. It's constantly Old Man Logan is no, we need to stay. We need to fight Kologoth. Yeah. We don't have Nightcrawler. So until we have Nightcrawler, he's the enemy.
Do you feel that maybe some of these comments and the things that we are finding humorous because they don't work are actually meant to be humorous by him?
Nope.
No. Exactly, because it's supposed to be the flagship, so it doesn't work.
No.
I feel since it's the flagship, it's supposed to be serious. We're supposed to take all of this serious with a little bit on the side.
It doesn't have to be perfectly serious, but at the same time, it has to be significant. right? It has to be.
There you go.
You are the prime issue. You're the prime series, which means that all the other stuff, even the good stuff like Jean Grey or Old Man Logan, all that stuff has to be secondary to the prime series, and that is just not happening.
Everything has been rushed feeling,
Yes.
and that's not for the flag. Like the flagship should feel the most like sat in. It should feel the most like we're committed and into it, and it's the most rushed, so we haven't been able to be as attached as we'd like to be. There are like positive things about it. Like I picked Kitty for my favorite characterization.
Yep.
And I do think that the team functions really well. It's fun to see, but when you're only hitting that one thing right in this amount of issues so far, and that you have this much more to still come, there's something lacking that doesn't really add up. I mean, it could be something that we don't know from like the behind the scenes side, but it just doesn't feel like, I mean, there's so many times where people have said the same line or like acted in a very similar way that it just felt very static, like he didn't have an attachment to it himself.
It's funny, and this is something that I've said all throughout this whole entire roundtable, and I will continue to say into the future. This is why I love the way that we have this the X-Men Monday team set up, is because while all of us are looking technically at different slight little things, for the most part we're on the same page.
Yes.
And I feel like X-Men Gold going into Resurrection, we were all told that X-Men Gold is the flagship. This is what Uncanny used to be. This is what All New used to be.
Uncanny.
This is even what Extreme used to be for a little bit. And so for each one of us, we're automatically looking at Gold like this is the one book where everything that happens in this book needs to matter.
Yeah.
It should be
It needs to matter.
The fact that the way we hold on, the way we feel about Orphans of X is the way we should feel about
Easily.
Killigoff in
Should be gold.
Right.
Gold. But none of us feel that way. We all feel like this is just like something that's happening for right now until they get to the next arc, and hopefully the next arc is better.
I feel like it's my way of flushing $4 a month down the drain.
It should
Or
be
$8 because it's bi-monthly.
It should be that Tank Girl Gold type of gold.
But
This should be the series where no matter what is happening, we should be like, oh my goodness, how is this going to affect the other series? How is this going to affect Blue? How is this going to affect Iceman? I hate to bring Iceman back up. How does this affect the other series? And I gather that none of us feel that way about Gold.
Gold was the first to have like a death, which wasn't somebody that mattered that much, but the executioner killing those kids was pretty intense.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But what's funny though is until you just said that, I completely forgot about the fact that those kids died.
But at the same time, it's also the series that had a bullet going into Colossus, and it was Glenn under the dumpster, and I'm just not interested.
Yeah, we had that teaser at the end of the one issue that Colossus got shot, and then the next
Nano
issue, it was
Sentinel.
immediately the Nano Sentinels.
The Nano
we still have not seen anything from.
But it
Nano Sentinels
became
would've been
a
better
Dawn
for where,
thing that turned into a Rachel thing. There's any cool thing that comes up in Gold is gone too quick for us to have an attachment or remember.
Bingo, that's the problem. There's also this issue arc bullshit that makes it terrible.
I also, on the flip side, not to jump off Gold yet, but I was sure I wouldn't like Blue, and it's been a lot of fun to read.
What's funny is before we put all this together and before you guys jumped aboard, me and Ryan had certain books that we picked as, this is going to be the book that's going to be exciting coming up. And one of those books that we picked was Gold.
I was the only champion. I was the only champion on Gene.
Am I right or wrong though? Gold was that book we picked as being the A+ go-to book for X-Men. So it's just funny that here we are. We've set up X-Men Monday. You know, you guys have joined the team, which you guys are awesome at what you do. And here we are having this discussion at the end of the year, and we're all like, the one book that was advertised as flagship is not flagship.
Yeah,
It's
not at
constantly
all.
failing every issue. And right when we think we're going to get something interesting, they immediately go into the next arc and fail. The Killigoff arc is a complete failure. They should have started the Killigoff arc sooner rather than later. And by starting it later, any momentum they had going into it is gone.
And to be fair, it's hard to pinpoint blame whether it is Marvel or the unit editor or the writer or I think we're all clear it's not the artist's fault.
Wait a minute.
You know what I mean? Like
no,
it's definitely it's hard to figure out precisely
what
who is
part
responsible.
of creative is it?
Yeah, and
we've been talking about these for a while, but the biggest failure I think would be on editing in general.
Continuity.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Editing
Missing where things could have been caught that could have enhanced quality instead of just taken away from it by default. Like there are things that came up and appeared certain ways or didn't line up right that
on
just
this show.
cut the quality out.
On this show in particular, we talk about it all the time. You know, it doesn't matter when either one of you are on or whether it's me and Ryan. We always talk about the fact that continuity is what readers want. And we've seen repeatedly throughout the year that continuity, when it comes at least to these X books, doesn't necessarily seem to matter.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to bring in
continuity.
old readers.
We just need rules as far as the timeline.
But continuity, but Ryan, continuity is rules. Continuity is saying, okay, this.
I think the modern continuity. I'm going to keep this as a blooper conversation, guys. But
okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
We've got very far off track.
Yeah,
we've gone so far off track. I have to admit, though, that this has become one of the greatest roundtables we've ever done.
I think so too. I think the modern continuity for people is the series has to be flowing. Like all the series together have to be flowing. Yeah. But when you have astonishing,
I slightly disagree.
When you have astonishing, which is in the future. I don't know. I just think it needs to be explained some way or form where we lie. But yeah, I know you probably slightly disagree. But yeah, I think most people, their common knowledge will probably just be, as far as comics go, just what we're dealing with right now.
Right.
It's tough because it makes me wonder if they're gauging it off of the sales. Like, is Jean still in blue because people?
They know not everyone's going to pick up every single title. So that's probably why they do it. Honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
So if Jean were just gone from blue, they would have to have a different writer explain how or why and stuff. I think there's things that Marvel themselves aren't lining up right with what they're trying to do at the same time. If there was a second phase happening here, why couldn't certain things wait? Why couldn't things line up a little differently and just have it? Between Marvel choosing those certain things and editors seeming to not care, it is more and more having that effect of why are you not paying attention to this little corner for us? You know, it's really weird because other titles have it pretty spot on at the same time,
right?
You know,
it's funny you said that because I think throughout this whole process, not just this episode, but just the last year in general, we've all noticed that. We've all noticed that, continuity doesn't seem to mean anything. A revelation in this book doesn't necessarily mean anything to a revelation in this book. Since they've chosen to put X-Men in the X universe in one little corner of the Marvel universe, you would think that these things meant more than anything in any time in Marvel.
Nope.
But they don't. They want new money. They want new and old readers, but at the same time, they don't want to take the time to try to bridge the gap.
Well, and yet, what is the greatest prize for an old reader? Continuity. The one thing that demonstrates that there was a value to you spending the time and money to read the previous arcs is to reference them in the current arc proves that continuity has a literal monetary value.
That's why Uncanny Avengers could not be in this category.
but the thing though is just referencing a previous arc doesn't do anything to continuity. Continuity is referencing something that previously happened, but showing that it means something, showing that it actually affects what's going on now. So yeah, it's cool if you reference the Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix saga, but it means something continuity wise if you show how it's actually affecting what's going on now and how it has affected the actual history of the series. So even if
Generation X
they
is
decided
Gen
X, Gen X is a good thing because
like the M-plate, whatever you want to call it, either character name. Yeah, the pickup of that from Uncanny Avengers, which was something that Bunn wrote, coming in, him taking a different X-Men title and her pulling that into Generation X with a new cast and an old cast, has been done really well. I mean, that's been really exciting and intriguing to me.
What's funny,
where are those lines lately? Like, there's very confusing what sits on what side of things. Like, Dakin's claws are like embedded in my head, and the fact that one single issue had bone and metal drives me insane. I can't stand that it's published it in my hands.
What's funny though is you bring up Generation X, and since the beginning and the inception of this show, before we started everything, one of the things we did was we picked out what X books were like our picks for what we were most anticipated for.
Right.
And for me, it was Gen X. And part of it was because I wanted to see how they were going to connect the previous continuity to what's going on now. How are they going to connect the OG team with the team we have now? Now, given, because of certain things, that didn't happen until later on in the series that they started connecting the two.
Too late.
Yeah, exactly. As a reader, as an old school reader, I can see where they need to bring in the new school readers. Anthony, I'm sure me and you both have talked many times about X-Men 29, just 29 in general.
Oh boy, 29. Okay. All right.
And hold on. And just the original Gen X. There's an opportunity to bridge the gap between people who read back in the 80s, 90s, whatever, with the new readers you want to bring in now. And there's a lot of times where that is being missed. There's a lot of times where you can educate new readers, Ryan, on the 2099 X-Men and Gen X. Because Ryan, one of the things that I've seen is that you're primarily one of those readers that they want to reach when they do stories about 2099 and about the original Gen X. You're the guy they want to reach because you never really read those original series.
Reach me on that last issue.
but still,
exactly.
Bingo. So I'm still with Ryan because even though that issue was supposed to draw in viewers or readers who didn't love 2099 or had no exposure to it, it was still shit. I'm sorry.
The reason it was that though was because of continuity though. Had they took the time to introduce the kid, they did take the time to introduce the characters to new readers who don't know about 2099. But did they take the time to introduce a quick backstory or even at least tell you what their abilities are? You just see them using the abilities and you don't have the context for the abilities.
I mean, just give me a little editor's note that says, see X-Men 2099 number 3, and it will explain everything I need to know. But unfortunately, it didn't give me any of that bullshit. And on top of that, they also made Bloodstorm disappear for the last 3 pages of the issue. So fuck you, goddamn Cullen Pond.
We can all agree that we love editor notes because we're all readers of books, of comic books.
The editor notes aren't there because the editors don't know. They're not
there. There's no idea what continuity is.
So, like a former fat kid that I was, like a former fat kid who has to take the presidential fitness test but can't run the whole mile in less than 25 minutes. An award for participation for 2017 goes to Iceman, Cable, and X-Men Gold. Thank you
Yes.
for at least being part of our universe. Even though you didn't ruin a whole lot of awards tonight, nonetheless, who gives a shit? We're happy that you're part of our family.
They at least showed up. They showed up.
They
to
showed up.
participate,
They
but-
participated. And really, that's all we ask. So thank you very much for being part of our family.
Rob, you know what's crazy? What's funny is the fact that all of the titles you mentioned showed up, but only Cable managed to actually try to make some impact towards the end of the year.
Well, that's not true. I mean, I think Gold tried.
You think? Well, Gold did try, but most of Gold's attempt was a crossover, though. It was like a tie-in event. At least Cable was like, "Look, this is the new team." Go ahead.
I also stand by my point that Iceman had a very specific mission statement, although it might not have been a mission statement that we all loved. Who cares? Nonetheless, they showed up. They tried. There were 10 X-Men books this year, and including Iceman, Cable, and X-Men Gold. And we're very grateful that they were there. I bought them all, even though I didn't love them all. Who gives a shit? They're still part of the family. And when we look back at X-Men in 2017, they will be part of that narrative and that part of that quilt. And I'm grateful for those series and those individual issues and the contributions they made to our understanding of the X-Men universe.
Yeah, that being said, let's go ahead and bravo, man. Let's go ahead and end on a positive note. What would we real quick? We'll go around. What would we each like to see moving forward for the phase 2 of these X-Men stories, and moving forward? Again, real quick. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, there's several things I'd like to say, but I'm going to keep it to a short list. Number one, let's pay attention to continuity. Let's pay attention to what other writers are writing and give a degree of consistency from series to series. 2, Storm is the best goddamn character that you have. Please give her something legitimate to do. And I know that she has a solo series in the works, and she deserves it. And finally, I would just like to say that let's not stray too far from the mission of the X-Men. The X-Men are a set of mutants who are treated differently because of the way that they were born. And we sometimes get lost in the details of nonsense. And we forget that the real mission here is a metaphor for human rights and civil rights. And that needs to be addressed from time to time. So let's keep our eyes on the ball here before we stray too far apart. And other than that, I look forward to 2018.
For sure. Alan.
I just want to jump in right there and say bravo, because that is that is definitely one of the things that is constantly forgotten about the X-Men. Is the X-Men are a metaphor, and a lot of people, for whatever agenda you have, the X-Men are used as a metaphor for that agenda. But overall, they are a metaphor for equality. And I think there's only one thing we've seen this year that has spoken to that. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Gold is the only time we've actually seen the idea of equality in the X-Men universe spoken about with Kitty and the whole...
Yep.
I know, Ryan, you're going to get upset with the whole Central Park idea and everything. That's the only time we've actually seen elements of what the X-Men are.
Such a conundrum. Gold is a conundrum, and it should be clear-cut the best.
I know, exactly. I think that hopefully next year we're actually going to see that the writers have taken the time to maybe look into the history of the X-Men, maybe grasp a little bit more about what they have meant from the beginning and their inception to now, and maybe we can get maybe a little bit more back towards that. There's elements throughout all the books that touch on the X-Men, but hopefully we can get back to what the X-Men actually are.
For sure. Anthony.
Again, just editing, attention to detail. I want
continuity.
Yeah, I want just because certain titles sell better than other X-Men titles, doesn't mean that's good enough. You can keep pushing further to put out that better quality, especially when you have examples like Jean Grey, Generation X, Most of Blue, just constantly, and I mean, astonishing. Like that set like a whole new standard almost. And there's other titles that are happening that don't meet this like standard of quality. And I think that if these people put that effort out and put their foot down more, we can get more of the content that, like, X-Men was running Marvel for a long time. And just because one sells the best doesn't mean it's good enough when it can be better. Put more attention to detail in the right places instead of giving us another Wolverine. You know?
Is that a weapon H jab?
No, I think that's a jab at the 7 characters who are currently in Marvel 616 who fit the Wolverine profile.
the Wolverine family.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'll keep
attention to detail. Yes.
Yeah. I'll keep it somewhat brief. I will say, again, what you guys are saying, continuity for sure. Hopefully, with this next year, with CB Cebulski coming on, we can get editors to take better care of these books. Let's get off the fucking double shipping. Let's give these artists time to flesh out overarching stories that connect to each other.
Yes.
Because that's what matters, really. With Tom Taylor, I'll give Tom Taylor respect, because he is able to contain that and give us these short burst sort of stories. But everything else is just a mess. The art is always inconsistent. We have different artists on each issue sometimes.
Different artists on each page.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm glad they are doing these miniseries to maybe test the waters. But honestly, not just for podcast sake, but I think we should cut down on the amount of X books and take just better care of the ones that we have. That's all.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I think each one of us can honestly say this. Doing this podcast and being a part of this X family, I think we can all agree that at some point we have thought through this year, like maybe they can do with 1 or 2 less X books, or at least, because like between Blue and Gold, they can't decide on which one they want to actually focus effort on. So maybe I think we all have thought like maybe they should actually focus more effort on consistent X books that have some kind of continuity, that give us development while at the same time fulfilling that nostalgia.
Not cancel Generation X when it was becoming one of your best fucking titles ever.
Exactly. Not canceling books right when they're actually getting footing.
Yeah.
And telling better stories than what are supposed to be.
We're getting all down.
Hold on. Telling better stories than what are supposed to be your flagship books.
Yep.
Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
No, I don't want to get too down again. At least we have the X books.
Yeah, I know.
At least we have them.
We have X books.
We're all happy to be talking about it. That's why we're doing this.
That's definitely one thing we can say, is that at least we have, a time where they're actually focusing in on the X-Men and on the mutants in the Marvel Universe. And it's been a while since they've done that. So at least we do have that.
One last question.
Yeah.
I have a rapid fire last question.
Oh, rapid fire. Go ahead. Let it shoot.
Who's a character that you want to see brought more to the forefront of an X title in the coming year?
Wow.
My gut instinct, Psylocke.
Oh,
yep, I thought about that.
Wow.
I would say a Null.
Okay.
Ooh, cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna cheat and say I'm gonna say a non-mutant. We saw this year that Magic had developed a very interesting relationship with Moon Girl.
Ooh.
And I want to see more of Moon Girl in the X books. I think really, really is well deserved.
Yes.
I think that I would have to say, if they go back to who the character actually is, I would say Jubilee. I've been dying to see Jubilee back as a mutant.
Right.
I want to get past.
I want Jubilee to green gold.
I want them to get past the vampire Jubilee, make her a mutant again, and let's play with the relationship between her and Chamber. Let's play with that relationship a little bit, because I think there's been very interesting developments made with those two characters within the Gen X series.
Cool. Well, yeah, that is our year-end review discussion over cocktails and more X-Men discussion. I want to thank all you guys for joining me. This was our second roundtable that we've done together. And this is probably by far the best one that we've done, I think. I mean, Marvel Legacy was fun. But this time...
Legacy was fun.
Legacy was fun. Legacy was fun, but year-end roundup was amazing. It was astonishing. It was uncanny.
Not astonishing
it was
for
extreme.
me. Not astonishing for me to edit. But
good luck, my friend.
Right. So let me go ahead and plug some stuff before we get out of here. If this is your first time listening to us, we do have an X-Men Monday podcast released every Monday. So if you are digging what we're doing here, with less cocktails involved, head on over to the to the feed to get all the X-Men Monday coverage as well. What else? We have a website, ColumbusComicsCorner.tumblr.com, ColumbusComicsCorner.podbean.com, which is where you can find all of our episodes as well, and on iTunes. Subscribe, rate, and review us. We greatly appreciate it. We're on Twitter as well. You can find us very easy. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here again. Thank you guys. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Just a very happy New Year to everybody. Thank you so much for listening. It has been a real genuine pleasure for us to hear your feedback and interaction both on Twitter and through our Tumblr and through the podcast. And it's just been terrific. So thank you so much for listening.
For sure. Anthony.
What he said.
Booyah. Yeah. Alan.
And at Daily X-Men Facts. Follow me.
I personally just want to say that it has definitely been a very interesting year. Obviously, this is the first year of the X-Men Monday podcast. I want to thank everybody who's been a regular listener. I thoroughly enjoy seeing the tweets, the fastball tweets that come from the listeners. I think the last episode we did, we actually had people where they've grown accustomed enough to actually start reviewing books
with us. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, they start giving us their scores. I thoroughly enjoy that. I like the interaction between everybody. To both Rob and Anthony, it's been amazing working with you guys this past year. I think that we have some big things in store in the future for X-Men Monday and for just the team in general. It's just been thoroughly fun for me. And I love when we do these. Ryan, no, nothing. I'm not trying to downplay, me and you as, co-hosts.
Don't you do it.
It's amazing.
I'm in power.
It's amazing when we do our thing, but it's definitely astonishing when the whole team gets together.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I love the fact that we're all like on a different page, but at the same time on the same page. So it just amazes me. Hats off to everybody who's listening to this and downloads this, and plus hats off to my team.
Booyah! Talk to you Monday.